Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm gonna give you guys a chance to come into the conversation. Just take your time. There's no rush at all. No rush at all. We're gonna have an intelligent Black conversation. I want to say welcome to Dr. Boyce TV, the home for intelligent Black people, and also some of you who are coming in from the Black Financial Channel. I want to say welcome to you as well. Today, we want to talk a little bit about celebrities and taxes, and but not just the celebrity stuff, not just the gossipy stuff, but the educational stuff, the stuff that we can learn from, the things that will make us better. Because as you guys know, we believe deeply that Black people should own our own businesses. And owning your own business requires a certain degree of economic intelligence and responsibility. So to speak on this issue today, I brought in my respected colleague and a friend by the name of Rebecca Samuels. Rebecca Samuels is the founder and CEO of Pythagoras LLC. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Pythagoras LLC, and Pythagoras is her accounting firm. She's a well-known, well-respected accountant in her area and around the country. And first, I want to say I want to welcome Rebecca. Thank you for stopping in.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Now, let me go down this list. I'm gonna go down this quick list of rappers and celebrities that have had tax issues. Because everybody's talking about Jay-Z being a billionaire, which is awesome.
Impressive.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Rihanna, and she's the richest singer in history. You've got other really good stories. Like I told a good story about Lil Kim, how she actually climbed out of bankruptcy, and she's putting her financial situation back together. So there are a lot of good stories. But then against that, you have a backdrop of a lot of celebrities: MC Hammer, Lauryn Hill, Jermaine Dupri, Tyga the rapper, Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes, Ja Rule, Fat Joe, Method Man, Master P, Nelly, Exhibit, Diddy, and Lil Wayne, all of whom have had tax problems. Now,
Wesley Snipes.
Oh, Wesley Snipes, yeah, he's not a rapper, but he had to go rap to that judge about his tax situation, right? So, and I want to make it clear, like, I know that you're not shaming anybody for having trouble with the IRS, but it's clearly something that all of us as Americans, as human beings, and as Black people in general, kind of want to understand in terms of dealing with the IRS. So when you hear about these celebrities, so many celebrities sort of having tax problems, what are the first things that come to mind for you as an accountant?
The first thing that comes to my mind as an accountant is, who is their accountant? Do they have an accountant? And the reason why I say that, it's because it's something that I guess I'm struggling with now that I have my own business. I'm a CPA, I'm an enrolled agent, and I talk to people that set up businesses, and they may have been in existence, their business may have been in existence for a couple of years now. And then when I ask them, well, so who does your accounting? And it's like, oh, I write everything down or something of the sort. And I really feel like, and this is my personal opinion, but if you are trying to develop a business and you're wanting it to grow and you're wanting it to succeed, at some point you have to have a professional that is knowledgeable about accounting, knowledgeable about tax affairs, that can give you the rules that you need to abide by, make sure your money's accounted for, and everything else to assist your business to grow. Because as they say, accounting is the language of business. And you as a business owner need to know if you're profitable. If you're not profitable, you have to find ways to make yourself profitable, or else you're going to go out of business.
Okay, so when you say, it's funny when you said that that's your reaction, that you always ask, who was
Yes.
there? I go through that, because my background's finance, and
Yes.
when I hear about a celebrity or an athlete that goes broke, like they say, oh, my financial advisor, made bad investments and I lost everything. I start asking, well, who's your financial advisor? Because I know that there are fundamental rules about investing.
Exactly.
If you follow these rules, there's no way to go broke. I mean, there's literally no way. If you're properly diversified, you do simple buy and hold strategies and all that stuff, the odds of you going broke are zero. I mean, they're literally, being properly diversified, right? Which means your money's kind of spread out. So as an accountant, when you see, I think there's a school of thought that kind of says the IRS is just a tough nut to crack, tough to understand. They come back, they get you, just for the littlest things, or it's just like luck of the draw. What would you say to those who kind of feel like it's not like there's nothing you can do in order to avoid like having issues with the IRS?
No, it's called tax planning. And I think tax planning is a relatively new term. I know I heard about it 2 years ago when I started my business as a way to sit down with people and be proactive and plan out what's going to happen. Therefore, you won't get any nasty surprises in April. So it's called tax planning, but I think you could agree with me, boys. A lot of people don't like to be proactive. A lot of people are reactive. And unfortunately, if you're reactive and the consequence is pretty severe, that's going to take away a lot of options that you would have had. So for example, say we're talking about someone's doing well as a rapper and they're in the entertainment industry. And if they receive their check, they're not necessarily getting a W-2. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not well versed, so I'm not sure how they get their money. But if they get a 1099 miscellaneous, that is an independent role where someone just says, hey, thank you for providing this service. Here's your check. You as the person, it's your responsibility to set aside a portion of that for taxes. I know in my experience, in my personal experience back in the day when I didn't know any better, I used to get a 1099 miscellaneous check. I did some contracting for, someone that paid me for some short-term work. And I would get like a $500 check and I would spend the entire thing. I'm not thinking about taxes. I'm thinking I just got paid. Let me do whatever I need to do with this money. But this stuff is reported to the IRS. So at the end of the year, it's going to take the IRS a while. They don't do things right away. So normally, if you file a tax return, for example, in 2018, if you have an issue with it, you're probably not going to hear about it until a year later. And there's rules on that the IRS can come back to you anywhere between 3 to 6 years if they found out that you omitted information on your tax return. It could even be indefinite if they determine that it's a fraudulent intent that you omitted something from your tax return. So they can come back and get you. And it's not a technicality or anything else. It's the fact pattern. If you got paid this money, you're supposed to set aside, let's say 25%. That's not a real number, but let's just say 25%. Someone gives you $500, you're supposed to set aside 25% for taxes. Most people don't. They take that money and do what they need to do. And I can only imagine someone that's making a lot more money as an entertainer, once they get that money, guess what? I haven't had a check for so long. I finally get, $15,000 all at once. I need to pay all my bills. I need to get caught up on this. I have to buy new clothes. I have to do this. They're probably not thinking about, I have to pay taxes and get myself correct on that. So again, when I hear about these situations, I do wonder who's their accountant? Do they have an accountant? And if they don't have an accountant, why? Is it a cost issue? Is it I'm gonna stick my head in the sand like an ostrich and pretend the problem is not gonna happen and I'll deal with it if it comes up later? I don't know, but that's something that I'm interested in learning about myself, because I see a lot of us getting into problems because we're not planning, because we're not thinking about what we need to do ahead of time.
Everybody, I'm speaking with Rebecca Samuel. She's the founder and CEO of Pythagoras LLC, an accounting firm out of DC. And we're talking about rappers and celebrities who have tax problems. And I was mentioning a long list of rappers, MC Hammer, Lauryn Hill, Jermaine Dupri, Tyga, Snoop Dogg, Busta Rhymes. Last week, you guys heard me talking about Lil Kim, who actually, good for Lil Kim, she's actually working her way out of bankruptcy court. And I think the question is, as a community, rather than just reacting, right, saying, oh, another celebrity going down, look, they keep doing this. The question is, how do we learn from this? How do we grow from this? Because this is all happening at the same time that you have these success stories with Jay-Z and Rihanna and everything else. And then now, Rebecca, one thing I was thinking about too is I know you're really big and you're an expert on things like budgeting and money management. And I would say that hip hop, for the most part, unfortunately, got to the point where it almost became like a poster child for horrific money management.
Spend it as fast as you get it.
Yeah, like get it, spend it. Who was it? There was a song. Tell me if you guys know this song. But I think it's by that rapper who I think is I really think he's mentally disabled. I don't know if I'm allowed to say the word retarded anymore. I don't know if that's politically incorrect, but his name is Future, the rapper Future.
Oh my
Yeah, he's the dumbest rapper ever. And Future had the. Tell me, you guys, if I'm wrong on this song. Maybe it's not him. Maybe I need to credit something else to him. But I know he was out promoting drugs and getting black people to, or trying to get black youth to like use Molly Percocet. He literally had a song. I'm not kidding, Rebecca. He had a song.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It was Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet, Molly Percocet. What the hell, man? Seriously. But anyway, here's let me get back to the point. Okay, so whoever this rapper was had a song where the chorus was, "I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. I'm riding around and I'm getting it. It's mine, I spend it. It's mine, I spend it." And then I
remember the lyrics. I don't think it was him, but I do remember the lyrics.
Yeah. And so to me, I feel like that kind of exemplified what was going on, what has always been going on with the culture, that there's something about, I'm gonna literally look up the chorus to the song. Oh, 2 Chainz. Thank you. Somebody said,
yeah.
I get all the idiot rappers mixed up. The dumb ones. You got the smart ones now. You got the J. Cole's and the Kendrick Lamars and even the Jay-Z's and the T.I.'s and all that. But you do have certain people that really perpetuate this myth, this idea that rappers, particularly amongst the black males, but there are some women in there as well, that you get your money, it's supposed to burn a hole in your hand. You're supposed to be as financially stupid as you can be. Whatever it takes to ruin your life, you need to do that, because that's part of what being a man is. And I think that sucks, because then what happens is you have rappers like D1 who come along, and D1 is a young guy who says, no, I don't actually want to be broke. I don't want to be bankrupt. I don't want to go to jail for tax evasion. So D1 has to go in the opposite direction and push the culture the other way. D1 actually brags about the fact that he still drives a 1998 Honda Accord. He has a song called No Car Note. Like literally, it's like, I ain't got, your car may be fancy and all that. And he says that some girl made fun of him because he didn't drive a fancy car like rappers do. And he said, but I ain't got no car, no, right? I don't know if you guys heard this song. It's a great song. And then he has another song called Sally Maybach, where he brags about how he paid Sally Maybach, right? Oh. Yeah, great play on words, right? Sally Maybach, get it, Maybach. And so the point on that is to say, I'm wondering if you think that there is kind of a higher likelihood, if you are an entertainer, to have tax problems because you're making so much money. The financial sophistication is not usually as high as it needs to be. And also you're part of a culture that is encouraging you to destroy yourself economically. What are your thoughts on that?
I think there's a root problem that this all goes back to, right? I mean, think about it. Anyone that's ever made themselves into something generally more or less came from nothing. We're not talking about like coming from a Kardashian family where your family already had money and everything else like that. We're talking about people that probably had nothing. Maybe they had food stamps. Maybe they had this or that. And that's just an example of some of the thought processes within some people within the African American community, where they'll say, hey, look, this is what I came from. This is what I know. I'm not going to try to get educated and try to, who does that? That's white people stuff. You know what I mean? Like really think about that. If your family didn't instill that in you, then when you start making money, you're not going to run out and say, okay, well, I need an accountant, I need a tax professional, I need a lawyer, I needed this, I needed that. You might get the lawyer because that's what everyone says they're going to do, right? But who really says, I need to go get an accountant? Or who really says, a lot of people nowadays want to do their taxes themselves. So if they have something simple like a W-2, they're not going to come and see a CPA when they could just use, TurboTax and everything else. But the crazy part about it is because softwares that let you do taxes yourself, lets you put whatever you want into that system, and they're not necessarily double checking the numbers for you, these people end up having tax issues later on when what they input gets audited. You see what I'm saying? Oh, well, I made my refund go higher because I just put an extra number here and I did this expense and that and that and that. Who knows? That could be the thing that might get you caught. So, I think it's just a lack of what the root cause is, and just how we as African Americans have dealt with in this country. We haven't been taught to manage our money. That's not within our family structure to say, hey, we need to find professionals that can assist us with that. There's a lack of distrust. I know as an accountant, I am very, what's the word? Cautious. So when I'm dealing with someone and their sensitive information, I do everything I can to make sure that person feels like they can trust me, because I already know we have issues, preconceived notions. Oh, I heard about that accountant that stole XYZ's money. I already know people hear all the bad stories. So now I need to tread lightly to do my job, because I want to make sure, hey, if you trust me, you'll tell me more so I can help you. But if you don't trust me, you're only going to give me so much and hope I don't figure it out. And then we got to get into these uncomfortable situations where I'm having to talk to you about, hey, this doesn't make sense. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I have to also throw this in there. There was a saying that there's 3 people you don't want to lie to. Do you know that saying?
I've never heard it, but I can guess where it's going. Tell me.
Your doctor, your lawyer, and your accountant.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
That is such an accurate statement. I would have guessed. I was going to guess maybe priest, but I knew lawyer and accountant were right there. I thought priest would be there just for comic relief, but you're right. Your doctor, your lawyer, and your accountant. Because if you lie, can't help you. Yeah, they can't help you, and you're going to screw yourself. That's such a good point. Because the thing about the IRS that I hate, Rebecca, is they kind of, I think, and this is actually not to the credit of the rappers or entertainers or whoever we hear about that get in trouble, because a lot of regular people get in trouble too. We just hear about the celebrities more. But in their defense, the IRS kind of lulls you to sleep. They do. They don't come after you for a while. You ain't gonna hear nothing. Yeah, like they make you really think that you got away with a crime, or not a crime. They make you feel like you can just put whatever number you want in there, and they'll give you a refund. Yes, and they will give you that money. Be like, here you go. Here's an extra $5,000. So it's kind of like it's like that little kid who's like going into the kitchen and he's getting cookies out of the cookie jar, but he doesn't know there's a hidden camera. But he digs himself in a deeper hole because now you got all this footage, and you end up looking like the financial version of R. Kelly or something, right? Where R. Kelly's been stacking evidence against himself for the last 20 years now, and it's coming, chickens are coming home to roost. Well, the same thing seems to happen with the IRS, And that's written into their statutes. Like I mentioned earlier, they have 3 to 6 years to come after you for something that you put on your tax return. And if they can determine, or if they can make the case that what you put on your tax return was fraudulent, that's indefinite. You could be 90 years old and they'll come back and say, oh, remember what you did in 1984? Well, guess what? It's written into their code. So that's why it's so horrible. That's horrible. Do you guys tell me yes or no? Do you guys think that that's horrible, or do you think that's fair? Horrible. Speaking of which, can I throw in something here? Because I was just reading this. If anyone is involved with being cannabis, trying to be a dispenser or trying to get a cannabis business started, you can only deduct the cost of goods sold. You can only deduct direct materials and direct labor for the cannabis. You cannot deduct anything else. So the IRS may accept your tax return with all this extra stuff deducted, but trust me, they'll come back later on you. I'm sorry, I had to throw this out there because I read this earlier from another accountant that's trying to get into the cannabis business. People are trying to get these tax returns done that have cannabis in it. For now, cannabis is still federally illegal. The states are doing what they can to legalize it, but it's federally illegal. So now we have that double whammy of you need to make sure you know what you're doing with the accounting. You need to know what you're doing with the taxes, and everything has to be reported accurately, because they'll accept a return and then come back 6 years later and say, hey, guess what? Now you have a problem. And you're not even thinking about it anymore. You might not even have the same person that did your paperwork anymore. Now you're left to fend and do all of this by yourself. You know what I mean? Wow. Well, Rebecca, by the way, everybody, I'm speaking to Rebecca Samuels. She's a CPA, and she's also the CEO and founder of Pythagoras LLC. In fact, her website is Pythagoras. Is it Pythagoras.com? Is that right? Yeah, Pythagoras.com. Pythagus. That's Pythagus.
Mhm.
That was
You
my
got it right.
that's my Pythag guess. Get it?
You
So
know,
that's my,
just to insert, it was actually supposed to be Pythagoras with an AS, and I wrote it down, and then later on when I came back to it, I said, okay, I'm ready for it. I ended up changing the spelling. I don't know what happened there, but yeah.
so spell it for us, and somebody please type it in after she spells it so everybody
So
can.
it's Pythagus. That's the correct spelling.
Pythagus. Okay.
Pythagoras. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, perfect. So, you know, I think Rebecca, I'll tell you this, and you guys can go check this out if you're watching drboystv.com. But I did a video today on the 6 or 7 worst kinds of, I think it was six worst kinds of debt to be in. Right? You talk about good debt, bad debt. I said, you know, let's talk about the 6 worst kinds of debt that there are. And I think number 1 on my list, Rebecca, was a gambling addiction. Like I feel like gambling debt is the worst kind of debt because it's connected to all these other personal psychological issues, you know, so and it's just completely worthless and you know, whatever. But tax debt, I think, was number 2 or number 3 as far as like the absolute worst kinds of debt. And the reason I said that is because I see tax problems almost like financial quicksand, you know, where you know, okay, so here you're in this situation, right, where somebody comes to you years down the line, and you're not even feeling like you're a rich person. Let's say you're making 80 grand a year, but over a 7-year period, you've made over $500,000. And they come back and say, oh, all those things you've been writing off or whatever, it's wrong. So now you owe us 80,000 or 100,000.
You owe what you should have paid. You owe the interest, and you owe the penalties.
Oh.
Because they penalize you every month that you haven't paid for that balance, even if you weren't aware of it.
Wow.
All of that adds up. That just happened to a client of mine. She was audited for 2 years, finished the audit. Guess what? Couldn't write all this stuff out. So guess what? She owed $60,000. Bam,
Wow.
in one shot.
Yeah,
one shot.
And you're right. So you got the interest and the penalties, as you mentioned, in addition to the fact that you're being, you know, held accountable for an amount of money that's not reflective of what your annual income is. Like you know, like you take somebody who makes 80 grand a year and you say, oh, well, you know, over the last so many years you made over $500,000. It feels weird, you know, like that seems like such a big number compared to what you make, but it's true, but it's just weird, right? And so then on top of that, you've got this weird problem where it's like you owe this debt and you have to earn more money to repay this debt. But the more you earn, the more you're going to owe in addition to
taxes and current taxes.
Yeah. And so, you know, it seems to me
circular problem.
Yeah, there you go. It's a circular problem. And it seems to me that most people that go into deep tax debt never get out. I'd love to see the data. Have you seen any data on that? Like what are the odds that somebody, you know, gets hit with a certain amount of tax debt and they actually climb out of that?
Okay, so I'll say this. A lot of people may not know, or they're unaware of how there's actually things that you can do. So if you find yourself in a tax problem, you owed a lot of money all of a sudden, you weren't expecting it, that sort of thing, you have options. You can do an installment payment, which means you could get up to about 72 months to pay off your tax debt. You can do what's called an offer and compromise, where if you can substantiate your position and say, hey, look, IRS, I know I owe you this money, but technically this is all I have. And I'm not expecting to make any more than this. And I have all this debt and I need to live and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You can offer them a settlement, because at the end of the day, the IRS just wants to get paid. Now, you know, if you can give them a comparable settlement saying, okay, taking a look at your situation and how much you make and all of this, you probably ain't going to pay off this $100,000 that you owe. So we'll probably take, I mean, obviously it depends on your situation, but, you know, we'll take less than what you owe and we'll wipe it clean. The third is obviously to go into bankruptcy. I've had a client do that where he owed a lot of money over a period of 4 years with the IRS. They started garnishing his wages. So he just filed for bankruptcy and said, forget it. I can't do it. So there are options. Unfortunately, these options cost money. You have to pay, for example, a CPA to do the offer and compromise for you, or you have to pay a tax attorney to do the offer and compromise for you. But if you're able to get qualified for the offer and compromise, or if you're going to go the bankruptcy route, it is an option. So what I tend to see is that a lot of clients, again, stick their head in the sand and they don't want to deal with it. If I don't move and my head's in the sand, no one can see me. It's not true. It's going to haunt you. You know, they can go after your bank accounts if you have any. They could garnish your wages. I mean, the IRS can make your life a living hell, but there's options. And I want everyone to know that if you have an issue, see someone licensed, an enrolled agent, a CPA, a tax attorney to assist you with getting out of it. That said, you have to be current on tax filings. That's one of the #1 rules by the IRS. If you owe us money, all of your tax returns need to be filed, which now means, guess what? You're paying money to get the tax returns filed. But if you stay compliant and you do what you're supposed to do, you know, follow I don't want to call them rules, but pay your taxes, make a plan to pay your taxes and be aware of this ahead of time, it will avoid further issues later and can resolve the problems that you already have. But we need to be informed about this, because before I became a CPA, I didn't know that. You understand what I'm saying? Now I know, because this is what I do and this is how I help people. But who's telling us about this? So I love the fact that we're talking about this now, because we're having this conversation, because I don't know anyone else that's talked about. I mean, you see the Optima tax relief commercials online and stuff like that, but those are geared towards marketing for certain individuals. Who says, you know what, let me go see my CPA, let me talk to my CPA and see what that person says? We don't know that because no one tells us that. I know in my family, we didn't grow up knowing that there was a CPA, that a family CPA that you can have, like a family doctor or a family lawyer. We didn't know that. So it's really interesting to me.
Interesting. Well, you know, I agree with you. I think, you know, that when you're talking about sort of understanding these sorts of things, I think it's scary for a lot of us that are in that first generation, and you're starting your family business, and you know, it's funny. It's like there's like a couple of hurdles at least, right? One is figuring out how to make money, you know, without a job, and then there's figuring out how to keep your money and protect your money, right? Because so many people climb to the mountaintop and they think all their problems are over. And sometimes you find out that the problems are just beginning. Like they, you know, like Diddy has that famous statement, more money, more problems. And, you know, at the same time, though, I think you can appreciate this, given the name of your company, it being named after the Pythagorean theorem. You know, I'm a mathematician, and when we saw problems, we didn't see it as a reason to give up. We saw problems as something that
need to be solved.
Exactly. And I think that is an important part of moving forward as a business owner, you know, learning how to see your problems in a different way. There are opportunities to grow. These are, you know, things that can be solved. You know, there is always a pathway through that. You just have to, you can't, as you said, put your head in the sand, because if you do that, then you have issues, right? So, you know, so in terms of shifting the culture, everybody, and I want you guys to hear this, because I want this to be a teachable moment. You know, don't put your head in the sand when it comes to stuff like that. So don't be afraid. You know, it's either way you go, there's going to be complications to figure out, right? You're either a business owner trying to figure out how to manage tax issues, or you're an employee figuring out how to deal with a racist boss. You make the choice. Which puzzle would you rather solve? You know, one puzzle will allow you to keep your job. The other puzzle will allow you to possibly make millions of dollars. I chose the puzzle that opened the door for me to make more money than I could ever make on a job, right? So, by the way, so everybody, I'm talking to Rebecca Samuels, CPA, CEO and founder of Pythagoras LLC. Please hit the thumbs up button. If you have not hit the thumbs up button, please do that right now. Thumbs up. Please give her a digital round of applause for her time. She is a busy woman and an amazing accountant, and so getting somebody to come in and give her time to speak to the community, it takes some work, and we appreciate that very much. So
I'm here to help.
Yes, I appreciate that. Thank you. So Rebecca, let's give everybody the URL so they can reach out to you. Is it best for them to go to the website or to send you an email?
Oh, best thing to do, if you want to talk to me, set up a consultation. Again, it could be for your personal issues. If you have business that you want to discuss, just go ahead and go to the website, which is pythagus.com, pythagus.com. On the bottom of the first page, I believe it's on the right-hand side, there's what's called a conference scheduler. You can click on that link. It takes you to my appointment page. You can set up time just to meet with me there. That's the best thing. If I like talking to people, getting to know them, having them get to know me, seeing what the situation is, so I can help them or see if I can help them. So set up a time to talk to me via the conference scheduler, make an appointment. If you need to send me an email, you can do that too at rebecca@pythagus.com. I usually turn that around within 24 business hours because I am still working with clients, even though it's not tax season. I have amazing clients that are starting their own businesses. I just had an email today. Hey, Rebecca, I won a government contract. I'm gonna need your help with doing some accounting. So I love it when my clients succeed, I succeed because they're choosing me to be their accountant. So I am doing some work during the day, but I prefer to have scheduled appointments. That way I can set aside time on my calendar for us to talk and everything else. But yeah, I'd love to speak to anyone who needs help, who needs to talk about a situation. Set aside my time for you just to,
All right. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time, Ms. Rebecca Samuels. We appreciate it. And everybody, once again, the website, Rebecca's website is pythagus.com, pythagus.com. So everybody needs an accountant, so feel free to go check out her website. Also, hit the thumbs up button before you go. And don't forget also in the Black Business School, we love to teach. We love to talk to you guys about starting your own businesses. And this is some of our cool apparel. We are determined to have a truly Black-owned university, not one funded by the government, but one that's created and built for the people, by the people. So if you'd like to get started for free at the Black Business School, just go to blackbusinessschool.com. That's blackbusinessschool.com. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you subscribe before you go. Thank you again, Rebecca. Appreciate your time. And
all right, bye-bye.
I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye-bye.